Today we're going to be running through the newest update, 24.4, which is long awaited as it does include data quality, our formal release of data quality. And this is something we've been asked about for quite a long time. We took a lot of feedback from customers, from partners, and Piotr and the product and development team did a great job at getting it in the tool. So to kick things off here, I'm Chase Summers. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer with Dataedo. Piotr Kononov, again, our founder and CEO, will be leading us through the presentation here. So running in through the agenda, first and foremost, we'll cover data quality. Again, that's a big piece of not only what we've worked hard to put in the product, but also a long-term vision for where we want to go. So we'll be able to provide some background and information on that. Then we'll go into other things that are new in 24.4, and we will do a Q&A. So feel free to throw questions in the chat as we go throughout the webinar. If we get a breaking point, I may answer some or have Piotr answer some at those breaking points. Otherwise, we will answer anything left at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Piotr.
Thank you, Chase. Hello, everyone. Today, it's a really exciting day because I'm presenting our newest release, and it's the biggest release at Dataedo. And we have a long history of releases over 10 years. So yeah, today we are introducing a completely new module, a data quality module. So I'll jump right into it. There's quite a lot of material to cover today. All right, so data quality. Data quality can mean quite a few things to different people, and different vendors call data quality quite different things. So one of the functionalities that we already have in Dataedo, and we had it for a few years already, is data profiling. So you might be aware of data profiling. If you're not, you should check it out. This is a scanning of the data to give you the like a snapshot of of the shape of the data. Then we introduced recently data quality insights. Is the dashboard using data from the data profiling to highlight some elements that could be potentially problematic, or something that you might want to look into. And today we're releasing a third functionality, the biggest, and these are the data quality rules. This is a different approach. This is where you define what the rules are, what kind of rules the data should comply with, and then Dataedo checks those rules according to the schedule and calculates the data quality score. So this is this module is something we introduced right now, and this is what I will show you and explain today. Okay, so what is a rule? In short, the simplest rule is when you take a particular column in a table and you apply one of the predefined rules from the catalog we provided. There are more advanced customers, but more about that later. So in this case, you say product name should not be empty, string, or null. And what we do in the backend, we create a dedicated SQL, and we run it against the engine, the database, and that's how we figure out if there are any rows that do not comply with this rule. So our goal is to find any row that is not that does not comply with the row. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So the outcome of the rule is number of rows that are in the table, and how many rows do not pass. And if there's even one, then the rule fails. Yes. Every rule it can be run multiple times, right? You schedule those runs, and you can see here that there are 84 rows, and the 3 of them failed. 81 of them were positive. So you can see the ratio here, but in general, if it's even one row, it fails. Then from those rules, we calculate the score. The score is calculated in a way that we take the number of rules and calculate the number of successful to all the rules that were run. The score goes back 30 days. You don't have to run all the rules all the time. And we can break it down into different dimensions. So there's a thing called data quality dimension. Every rule has assigned one of the dimensions, right? It's accuracy, consistency, completeness, validity, integrity, and timeliness. These were assigned by us for the predefined ones. If you create your own, you can create your own. You can assign your own dimension. I would like now to show you a portal, show how that looks in the product. Okay. I hope you can see the browser right now. And
yep, we can see it well.
Okay, so right now we are in the product. This is the portal, you know. However, you might not recognize this menu over here. It's a brand new menu. It's much more convenient way to navigate the portal, much more user-friendly, much more business user-friendly. So you go into data governance, data quality, and there you go. There's a dashboard which is pre-calculated from the rules run in the back of the of Dataedo. So we have you can see that we defined 1,800 rules, different rules for different columns, and we run 1,500 in the past 30 days, and these are the results. You can see runs, how many rules were run and failed every day, right? You can see fail, which are successful, which failed, and there are also errors. Errors is when rule fails. We made I created custom rule and it failed, right? The SQL didn't work, or any other reason. So there's also some errors. You can see how the quality score changed over the past 90 days. You can see here how it changed for a particular dimension. Here you can see the score for different severity. So severity is assigned to a particular check. There are 4 levels of severity. There's critical, there's high, there's mid, and there's low. The purpose of that is so that you can schedule the critical ones, let's say, I don't know, twice a day. The high ones maybe once a day, and the low ones once a month, right? So these are the ones that nothing breaks if the data is incorrect for extended period of time. And critical ones are the ones that, if they happen, there's something bad happening potentially, and everyone should stop and fix the issue. So let's say, I don't know, there's an order and the price is missing, or something. I don't know. There are 2 invoices with the same number. Something like that. Something that is really problematic if it happens. Over here you can see the quality score broken down by those dimensions, right? Dimension, severity. Also, you can see by the owner and broken down by source. So this is our data quality dashboard. This is what you get out of the box if you define rules. Let me go back to presentation now. Okay, we are back at the presentation, and let's understand what type of rules we have in the product. So there are predefined rules, the ones we build, and those are the ones you can reuse. So rules like what are the allowed values, that you cannot have null values, that the value should be unique, and so on. I'll present to you the catalog later. And then there are custom SQL rules. These are the ones that you write yourself for particular test. So they test very particular set of data. They cannot be applied to multiple fields and tables. They are created for particular use case, and they can be quite complex. I'll also explain how that works. But basically, you're writing a query where you'd like to list all the rows that are incorrect. As simple as that. And you can be as creative and you can write as complex of a query as your engine can handle. And we execute it and then feed our data quality score with that. This functionality is
real quick, I was going to say we had a quick question. So can we use data from multiple tables to check the consistency dimensions, for instance? So they want to check the product used in billing data has status equal to active in his product master table, data table.
If I understand correctly, yes. I have a section about different tests later in the presentation, so we can check if this is the thing you're looking for. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure we can use it with one of the predefined rules, but you can always write a query, SQL query that checks the consistency.
Awesome. Thanks, Piotr. And Frederick, if it's not clear once Piotr gets to that section on testing, please let us know.
All right, and predefined rules are built-in, shipped by us. We have I think over 100 built-in rules, and you can also build your own custom rules. One thing to mention here is that currently in the product, you cannot, there's no UI because this is the first version. You cannot build these custom rules from the UI, and you cannot build these rules with the UI. However, with our help or even with our guidance, you could, with using inserting data in our repository, there are like 3 tables, quite simple tables that we can insert the queries and use it like that. We're very happy to meet with you and show you that if you're interested, or send you some materials how to do it. And building those custom rules is something we're planning for release in February. Okay, adding a rule. Okay, I'll show you on the live product again how to add the rule here. So I'm on the products table in our database, and I want to go to data quality. You can see rules that are created for this, defined for this table already, right? So there are like 3, I checked 3 columns, and I check for valid URL, and that created and modified dates are not in the future. And you can see this one failed. I can expand that and see, okay, there are 3 fails. But that's slow. I'm not interested in that right now. Okay, I want to build a new rule. Assign. I could click assign rule over here. Then I select the column, and let's say I want to make sure that the product name is the length of the string is not suspicious. So I select the column. Now I look at the catalog of those rules. So you can see there's a quite long list of the rules, and you can select them by dimension, right? I don't know which one that would be, but you can also check by library. Library is it's like just a grouping of those rules, and it's particularly useful because you can see that those with prefix Dataedo are delivered by us. There are a couple of rules I created myself. Those are those custom rules, reusable rules. And in the future, we'd like to also allow you to import rule results from other tools, like say DPT or other tools. If you're using some, if your ETL is testing some data, so you could combine the results into one data quality score, right? So if your data engineers are building some basic tests, you can focus on those more business rules. Okay, so, and yeah, I can select the data tab. So let's search for text, and I'm interested in length. Okay, so string length between. I select this one, and I get the parameters. So let's say, I don't know, the product shouldn't be shorter the name than 5 letters, and let's say, I don't know, 30 is the maximum. When I click here, you get a preview of what's being actually executed. So you can copy that and execute to see, if the test is correct, right? So it's pretty pretty simple if you understand SQL, right? You don't have to use that. This is if you would like to see what's happening in the background, and if you'd like to test the rule in the console, right? So I provided parameters, and also there's another field called filter. This is if you don't want to test all the rows, right? So in my case, I like to only test those active products because I don't care about the inactive, right? So I write a simple query is active equal 1, and you can see, hopefully, yeah, that it's the query is updated. Yeah, this is the definition, and this is how you can copy it and paste it. I click next. Then we go to failed rows section. Failed rows is a really useful functionality, and it's optional. We allow you to save rows that failed. So in my case, that there were like 3 rows that failed, and I can save those rows, but I have to choose which column to save. So when I click it, then I have to select columns. We don't want to save all rows because there can be some sensitive information there, right? So by default, you have to define the ID column by which we identify the row, because with every run we'll be updating that. So you can see, for instance, how long this row was failing, right? You can see what are the dates. So by default, this is ID. It's pre-populated, and you can select some other columns, right? Because some, just an ID of a row doesn't tell you much. So you can, I don't know, you can say, I don't know, addition and some other, you can choose some other columns, right? Whatever will be useful to understand, to fix the data, and something that is not, sensitive to save it. Okay, and then you click next and select some basic attributes. So severity, you choose how severe it is. In our case, that would be quite high if the active product would be, it had an incorrect name. You can provide an extra description and select if it's active or not. Active are executed, inactive are just there. And then you create the rule, and next time you execute, then the rule is included and also adds to the quality score. Let's get back to presentation. Okay, that was this. Once more, parameters, right? You can see I provided parameters. Every rule has its own parameters, right? And then it's being added to SQL. Same. In this case, it's like status is A again. Saving failed rows, and that's how it looks in the product, right? You have a list of columns. The dark ones are the columns extracted from the source, and over here you can see when it was first seen, and when it was last seen as a failed row. Why it's important? Because then if if you're actually fixing, if it's new issue, or you're having the same 5 errors every day, or you have every time there's something new. So that's important if you're actually fixing those issues. All right. Now I will walk you through our catalog of predefined rules, the ones that you can use right now. This is something we'll be extending with every single release. So first category is testing for null or empty values. So you can say that the column should not be null, or it should be not empty or null. Empty is different than null, because string that has just that's like an empty string in a lot of databases is not null. So we test that it's not an empty string. There's one also specific for empty string, and I think this one also includes the if it's like a blank, if it's a space or a white space, like tab or new line, or you want to make sure that it's empty or null. Then patterns. There are two types of patterns, like patterns, which are SQL-like patterns. If you know SQL, that this is it's basically a SQL format, and then there's regex. In case of regex, the engine underneath must support that. I know most engines do support that, but some older version of SQL Server don't. I think, well, actually, every recent release doesn't have that. You have to install it on your server, or the newest one, I think 25 will have that. So that's strange that SQL Server doesn't have that by default. Then testing lookups. I think that's what you're asking about. And you can use the following tests. So allowed values. And you can simply provide the list separated by commas, like that. And you can also write a query that lists those values. So that can test this the consistency between two tables. You can also test lookup. Lookup is the definition in our reference data module. So this is where you define in Dataedo those allowed values, right? So then we take those values. So you don't provide them in the like rule. You provide them in lookup. The difference is that if you do it in the rule, you would have to repeat it every time, and if you define it in lookup, and then there's someone else responsible for that lookup, so it's much more advanced. And forbidden values is basically the opposite of allowed values. Unique tests if the column is unique simply, right? So like ID columns, for instance. Testing of time, and so you might want to test that the dates are not in the future. So for instance, in my case, I tested if the creation and updating date is not in the future, and also similar in the past. Is fresh tests if there's data no older than, and you then provide as parameter how old. So for instance, 2 days, right? It's useful for things like some transactions, some logs, maybe data warehouse, data in the data warehouse, right? So creation date or load date, you can test if it's fresh and get alerted if the data is too old. And you can also check if there's any future date. Also useful for some booking of some kind of some kind of things, and you expect that there's some date in the future. Distinct values. So you want to assume that distinct values in a column. So let's say like a status column, you would like to say that there's exactly 5 different values, or there's between some certain range, or there's at least or at max a certain amount of values. So for instance, countries, you may want to do a country, and there's maximum of, I don't know, 200 countries. I don't know how many countries there are, but 100 something, I suppose. So if there's more, there's probably some data quality issue. And you can also apply to specific values, test specific values. So you can test if it's greater or less than. You can provide a specific range of the values. You can request that it's equal or not equal particular value. and also greater or equal, right? So that's very similar. And the thing I did for string length, so you can say it should be exactly the amount of characters between or min and max. And we have a number of more specific to a domain, a rule specific to the domain. So first one is email. You can test if the email is valid. Also the same for HTTP address and URL, and IP v4 address. There are some more business-oriented rules. So we have a number of different business numbers, like Canadian business number, IBAN, SWIFT, UK NSH, and so on. There's a whole catalog. You can test it. You can see it on the list in the portal. And also we have some format testing, so you can test if the column is valid GUID, valid JSON, has only digits or has only Latin letters. We'll be expanding that catalog, and again, you can also add to the catalog. You can build your custom library. Oh, there are two rules that find suspicious data, also predefined by us. No placeholder values, finds all kinds of strings that suggest that the field is actually empty, right? So NA or blank or empty, if someone typed it in, then it's it's an incorrect value. Similar for dates, there are some suspicious dates. They come from different kind of systems. These dates usually mean there's like it's null, the date is missing. Okay, a couple of more topics about the data quality module. Suggestions. The Dataedo will suggest you those rules, because adding, as you can see, there are quite a lot of rules. So adding a lot of them manually would be quite a lot of work. So we are suggesting rules based on the column names and some built-in rules. This catalog will be expanded. Currently, you cannot create it automatically. This is just a list of suggestions. In future versions, maybe next release, you'll be able to just click and create the rule automatically. Those rules that I mentioned, you can build your own catalog of predefined rules, the ones that can be reusable. And there are two types of rules. Regex, where you can provide a regex expression. You can use ChatGPT to do that. You don't have to be able to read that. They are useful. The regex is basically to test patterns, if text follows certain pattern. And the other type is SQL rule. So you can write an SQL that will be executed, and the table name and column name are passed as a parameter over here, as you can see here. This one basically checks if the column is not null, or is null in this case, right? It should, because we want to select incorrect rows, right? So again, this is something you could do today with our help and guidance. In the future, there will be a UI to add it in the product. And more about the custom SQL rules. A lot of companies already do that in some way, some capacity. You probably do test your data, or someone in your company do test the data using SQL. Not in a regular manner, probably, but once in a while. So you can ask and get those queries, and modify them in the way that they're simply return the rows that should be saved as incorrect or identified as incorrect, and then we just paste it into Dataedo, and Dataedo will execute them and save the results. Here's the list of supported sources. So yeah, all the Microsoft sources, Postgres, Oracle, MySQL, and Snowflake. So the same as we do for data profiling. We'll be adding more engines in the future. If you see something that we are not supporting currently and you'd like that, let us know. Scheduling, you can schedule, and you should schedule data quality runs with our scheduler. I hope you're using this to schedule the imports. It can be used to schedule imports, data profiling, and right now it's possible to schedule data quality. You select the schedule and also the severity of the tests, so you can choose different severities in different frequency. All right, that was a quick tour around data quality. And now let's have a look what else we've added in 24.4, because it's not...
Peter, while we're on the topic of data quality, maybe we should run through some of these questions because we have quite a few.
Okay.
We're switching over to new topics. So going back a little bit, we have Frederick. So Eric asks, do you have some indication on the relation between data quality tests and performance? So are there reports on execution times of data quality testing?
How long it takes for the Dataedo to run those tests? I don't know if that's the question.
Yeah, I believe that's
I'm not sure right now. That's a good question. Yes, we with the runs there's a time of the execution. I'm not sure if we have dashboard on that. I'd have to check, but it's possible, to create a dashboard like that. We save.
Are there any benchmarks, Peter, that you know of as far as estimated time for data quality? It's like how long it takes to run that?
No, because it really depends on so many factors. So how many rules you have, how the engine, how big of a database this is, and so basically, I mean, this is an SQL underneath. You can see every single SQL query and see if it runs quickly or not, if it's efficient or not. There's the bottleneck is the number of rules and the server, underlying server.
Got it. Thank you. And moving on to the next, is there a way to purge or delete historical data from statistics for quality? What precautions should we take to avoid losing control of database size when storing this information?
I mean, we don't delete that. Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know if it takes so much space. I mean, after a couple of years, probably it will add up. It depends on how many rules there are. Yeah, I mean, if what could be done, we probably could, create some separate database. I mean, or you could migrate it to some other database for like historical data. But so you don't have to. You could delete data that is older than, say, a year. Yeah, but I don't think that would be necessary.
Thank you. Going on to the next, just real quick. So does rule suggestions look at the data at all, or just the field headers as a means for suggesting data quality? Excuse me, data quality rules.
Yeah. Currently, they are just looking at the column titles. We have data profiling, so we could build more sophisticated rules and suggestions. If you have any ideas, it would be great to learn.
Agreed. And then how does it display the affected rows? Are data quality issues stored in the Dataedo repository?
I think you're referring to to this data. Yes, this is also saved in the repository. Yes.
Awesome. And then anything else on that one? Okay, cool. I want to make sure I didn't cut you short on the answer, but we have a couple I want to make sure to get through. So a couple of suggestions, this is more suggestions on what reference codes could be helpful to have for many industries to use check. And you can check these after the webinar. I think they'll be helpful. And then Eric asked about DB2, so no DB2 quality.
Oh, DB2. No, we don't have that, but okay. I'm thinking, yes, we don't do profiling for DB2. We don't have that many customers with DB2, but we can look into that.
Great. Two more, and then we can continue on here. So is the scheduling dashboard part of 24.4's version?
Scheduling, if you mean this one, the one I show you right now, yes, this one, yeah, that's this feature was in product for at least a year, or maybe not a year, but yeah, a couple of releases.
Yeah. And then last question for now. So what, if any, plans do you guys have to roll out Gen AI augmented or automated proactive data quality rules that will be domain specific, for example, insurance or asset management, and will apply changes to underlying data without much, if any, human interaction?
You would like to allow Gen AI to fix the data? That's a yeah, that's a risky approach. I wouldn't. What we want, yeah, I mean, we would like to use the OpenAI or some other engine to suggest those rules. We are using it in for suggesting descriptions currently. And we want to also add a functionality that will suggest some data cleansing. So for instance, those lookups, we already have some way of doing that. So we'll be expanding on that. So you'll have a report that shows you what you could fix with suggestions how to fix it, right? Because right now we tell you which rows are incorrect. We don't tell you how to fix it, but it could be extended. Yeah, that's further down the road, but I don't think we'll ever write back to database.
And Greg said that's what he meant.
Yeah, okay.
So I think you're thinking about it the same way.
Yeah.
And cool.
I don't know how much insurance would cost if we did that.
Or if they make, I'm sure they make insurance for that, but yeah, it could increase deductibles. But cool. So I believe we're at a good spot for questions for now, Piotr. So if you want to continue on into more 24.4, we'll continue with more questions at the end.
Okay. All right. So the first thing is the new navigation. I mentioned that before. We created 4 sections. Knowledge base. This is where we encourage the business users to start with. Those are the business domains from that you know from previous versions. So yeah, if business users would like to use that section, then that's all they need, in my opinion. Then there's data governance, where we added data quality, domains, so the other type of domains, classifications, and the catalog is a list of all kinds of other lists and yeah, and sections. The dashboards is the list of the dashboards that we built recently, and also there's Steward Hub visible for stewards. Yeah, so that's for the editors. We hope it's so much clearer, so much easier to understand what the product does, how to find places, and much more friendly to non-technical viewers, users. Another exciting feature, which probably would be flagship feature of the release, if not data quality, is the introduction of certificates. You can now certificate all the assets in the catalog. So basically, there is a button, and you click it next to. If you have the permission of the editing, then you can select that, and it's visible next to the asset. If it's a table, a column, a report, or something else in the catalog, that's like a stamp of quality. But that's not all you can do with that. This is more generic feature that we used it for a couple of things. Now we can also mark data as master data. So over here, there's the functionality is called badges, and you can see 3 sections over here. Those are predefined by us, but the good news is you can add your own stamps or badges. So you can group assets into like different buckets and show it next to the put it on the list like this one, and also see it next to the object. So master data is useful to identify on the terms business glossary level the terms, and then also underneath you can see the assets, right? So what kind of master data you have. It's good for communicating internally what kind of master data you're managing in the organization. Then there's critical data. That's another type of the badge. That's part of the data governance where companies identify what are those tables or columns usually that when they fail, it's really bad. So these are the ones that should be taken care of in the like for the data quality first, right? These are the ones you should take care of first, and we'll add a dashboard that shows you the coverage of those critical data assets with data quality rules. You can create your own badges, so that opens a lot of flexibility. If you have any ideas on your own how you could use it, maybe introduce 2 levels of certificates, or build different buckets of assets, then yeah, it's easy to add a new one. Next one is the source level, system level data lineage diagram. As you can see here, this is super convenient because now you have one place where you can see what lineage was created, how many sources you have, how they are connected, where the lineage is not built yet, right? If you click, you don't see it here, but if you click on the line, you can see how many items are flowing there, how many flows there are. So super useful extension. It's visible here. So right now in the catalog as the first item, so it's super easy to find it. Previously, you had to find the object and then go to the lineage tab. So this shows. So if you're the person building that, you can show the sponsors or your managers. You can present your the work you've done quite easily with that. Yeah, I think it communicates the value of the catalog and the work done pretty well. Oh, that's I think that's okay. The other slide, I don't think it was the right slide. 2 of the other improvements. You can now define custom fields in Portal. If you're not doing that, yeah, it's probably something you use not very often, but yeah, it's showing that we're adding more and more functionality in the portal, and also we can add custom workflows. Right now there's just one workflow, but you can create more and apply it to different assets. So have different steps for different assets. Okay, and as usual, connectors. So our theme for the past, I think 2 years, it was Lineage. Yeah, but first look at the 2 new connectors. So we created a connector to 2 of the catalogs, Microsoft Purview and Cloudera. So you can now connect to Purview and import the data. So I see 2 use cases. One is you want to migrate to Dataedo, and the other one you want to use Purview to scan the Azure environment and then import it to Dataedo to provide it for business users, less technical people, because Purview is quite complex tool for non-technical people. So yeah, this is version 1. So if you use Purview, would be great to get your feedback. There's a small limitation we'll be fixing in the future. Every data source has to be imported separately, but we're in I think around April we want to release completely new import from the portal, and that will have also will import things automatically. Same for Cloudera. If you have Cloudera, let us know. We would love to run tests with you. And improvements, as I said, Lineage. So data lineage is the theme of the almost every release. A lot more automations and improvements. As you can see, the Microsoft technologies mostly. This is our specialty. SSIS, SSIS, SSRS, Power BI, and all other technologies. For Oracle, we are now building Lineage for functions and stored procedures. So that's a quite exciting improvement for Oracle. And for Salesforce, we are now importing descriptions. So it's a minor change, but might be useful if you're importing Salesforce. I know we're short of time. I have slides for each. I don't want to dive too deep. I invite you to check the release notes. There are more details about those particular technologies. Yeah, basically, we are automating more and more of the lineage from all those sources.
And we also will be sending out this presentation. I believe Anya will make sure that people have an option to download it if you'd like to do that.
Well, one last thing, we also improved the performance of imports. We had some people with customers with the large Oracle databases, and there were some issues with importing. So we fixed that. So yeah, make sure you upgrade the Dataedo and see if that fixed your issue. If you really had a large Oracle database with a lot of SQL code inside. And that's it for the presentation.
Yeah, and it looks like from the questions, I know Zayed asked a question around not seeing things, but it's due to licensing. So Johnny, thanks for popping in and helping out there. Hubert, you've been great in the comment or in the chat, helping out with a few questions. I'm not sure if this one was answered, but I want to make sure. Does it work inside Snowflake between raw, conformed, and curated levels or layers of the data warehouse, the lineage?
It works in Snowflake. I'm not that fluent in Snowflake. I don't know, but I don't see a reason why not, because these are just like tables, right? Basically.
Yeah. And I see now Hubert helped on that. So the system level diagram shows every Dataedo documentation as a separate node. So if those two layers are imported at once, then they will be shown as a single node in the diagram. Okay. Is the create in SQL included lineage in this version?
Create statement, create view, create table, that kind of create.
Veronique, could you verify there? Yes, create table.
Create table. Again, in what engine? Again, Hubert, maybe you can jump in the chat and help us. It was in Snowflake, I believe, right? I don't know in what engines we do support that.
And then Greg said, what about publishing data sets into org-wide data catalog?
Publishing data sets. I'm not sure if you mean org-wide as catalog as Dataedo, and I don't know.
Yeah, so if you're using, especially the unlimited license, which I know, Greg, I don't believe you guys have moved forward with that yet, but So you'll be able to publish and use permissions to decide who is able to see certain things. So those permissions will be able to, you can share it organization-wide if you would like, if you have that ability. But if you're speaking of publishing into Dataedo, yes, you can make that organization-wide.
But not actual data. So if you mean
Right.
like if you'd like to publish the data sets as files, then that's not part of the Dataedo platform.
Will you have built-in access request workflows with approvals by data domain owners that can be approved by them either in the GUI or embedded Outlook email link by clicking it?
We don't have it in the roadmap at the moment. It was requested a couple of times, so yeah, thanks for upvoting that. Not in the nearest future, but probably we'll have to have this functionality.
Questions. Others who would like to contact us, a few different ways to do so. So there's always live chat on the website, which we're happy to coordinate there. For the rest of you, if you are new to Dataedo and exploring, you haven't purchased yet, Patrick will be your best contact. And then from the customer side, your account manager is Johnny, likely. So if you need anything, you can reach out to Johnny. As always, Richard's there for training if you need him. And then general, inquiries can always be reached out to for support if you have issues, or just general Dataedo for other things. Other clarifications. So Greg did say mapping domains like legal to schemas and tables that contain data for that specific domain in an org.
Then yes, we do have domains and subject areas underneath, so you can create a structure, a hierarchy, and then map specific tables and other assets, reports to those domains. So yes, we don't have a visual way of that, if that's what you meant, but yeah, we do have that.
We do have domains. Are you planning to include integration? This would mean that once data users identify or find a data set that they would like to have the ability to interact with, for example, by opening Azure Data Studio or Power BI with the data set?
Perhaps. So for instance, right now, if you have if you open report in Dataedo, there's a link to open it in the browser. So yes, that's like a good direction, depending on the platform, obviously, right? Because not everything allows that functionality.
I guess with that, yeah, Piotr, thanks for walking us through everything. Richard, thanks for helping out in the chat and being here. Same for Hubert and Johnny. And from here, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.